Hey, I'm Connor.
Hey, I'm Rutledge.
Hey, I'm Emily.
Hey, I'm Luke.
Hey, and we're Friend Stream Sports. And as you can see, we're different this week. We're doing real time with real friends, talking about real sports, this time with some real more friends. So we've added some more people into our first ever Friend Stream Sports Hangout, where we're going to hang out and talk some sports. But first, I want to introduce our friends. People we have on with us tonight is Connor and I, the bowl contest winner, which somehow was not me, even though I don't agree with how that contest was scored. I went, 3-60. We have Luke. So, hey, Luke, welcome. Thank you for coming out.
Hey, guys. Thought I'd switch gears a little bit, and
Here we go.
I chose for my Buckeyes to win the title, but unfortunately lost to Alabama. But hey, we beat out Clemson. That was our number one goal. Now next season, maybe we'll do another little bowl picking. Hopefully Ohio State can beat Bama in the title game.
Who knows? You may have your day again next season.
See what you did there.
Yeah, you get it. And as we have it, we have a fourth member to our show this evening. So I want to welcome all the way from actually Augusta, Georgia, our relative friend and Packers fan, the one and only Emily. Emily, how you doing?
I'm getting there. It's been a rough few days since the NFC Championship game, but I am still repping always. But we're getting there. I'm doing good.
You're doing okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a really heavy NFL show this evening, so I hope you're ready to talk about your boy and the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and everything out the gate. And of course, tonight we have the one, we have the only, my friend, real friend from real times is Connor. What's going on, Connor?
Rutledge, it's Tuesday. And one of my other favorite things involving words that start with T are things like Tom, terrific, touchdown, Tampa Bay. Those are just a few of my favorite other T words besides Tuesday. Really happy to be here. Really happy to talk some sports tonight.
I'm glad that you are happy with your T things. Of course, it is Tuesday. It's 8 o'clock. We're on Twitch for our podcast listeners out there. You should be checking us out live if you haven't come to check out us live, as we do different things every week. So here's how tonight is going to go. We are going to have different conversation starters with all three of our folks here on Friend Stream Sports. For Emily, Luke, and Connor, I will give everyone sort of the opening conversation, and everyone gets their time to give their points, and we will be scoring right here with Rutledge's desk. And at the end of it, whoever has the most points based off the best points is the winner. So are we all ready to go?
Let's do it.
Rock and roll.
All right, so we're going to start, and we're going to go in the order of with everyone. We're going to go with Emily, Luke, and Connor. Will close out every topic. So our first topic is all about the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 55 is coming to now known as Tampa Bay, Florida, down here in the Sunshine State. And with the championship games finished, we will now get to lock into the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So starting with Emily, what is your take on the Super Bowl coming up, and who do you have winning it?
So being the team that lost to Tom Brady, you have to appreciate what he's doing right now. He is doing charity work. He went to a team that was horrible and said, hey, you guys want to go to the Super Bowl? I got you. And now he's literally taking Tampa Bay to the first ever hometown Super Bowl. And whether you love him or hate him as a person, you have to respect his football. I don't know if anybody watched the Tom versus Time series that was on Facebook, but it changed my life. I'm a Packers fan. I love Aaron Rodgers, but it gave me a whole massive respect for the man. And ever since then, he's given up a ton to be where he is and be the kind of guy that can do this kind of thing. So I'm rolling with Tom.
All right. Emily's taking Tom and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Luke, your take on the Super Bowl.
My take on the Super Bowl, the way I see how it is down in Tampa, aka Tampa Bay, you got old school with Tom Brady versus new school with Patrick Mahomes. And whichever within the AFC NFC title game, whichever outcome it was eventually going to be a great Super Bowl matchup. Really excited for these two teams to go at it in Tampa Bay. The Chiefs, they have that three-headed monster is on the offense with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, all dominating on the offensive end. and the defense has been dominant force too against the Buffalo Bills. But with my take, with Tom Brady in 9 Super Bowls with a 6-3 record, with 2,838 pass yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Defense, that swashbuckling defense with 5 sacks against Green Bay, along with players like Jason Pierre-Paul, Devin White, and Dominican Sue, and Murphy Bunting in the defensive back area, just shutting down wide receivers. Home field advantage in Tampa Bay. Guys, I got to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, as Tom Brady's going to hoist that Lombardi trophy tonight. It'll be a happily ever after for them, as those Buccaneers will drink up their Hardee's Yo-Ho.
That's a solid take, Luke. We even got some stat machine pulling out and bringing out Tom Brady's Super Bowl career. Not many quarterbacks can talk about their overall Super Bowl record and their Super Bowl stats. So Connor, we have 2 people favoring the Bucs and Tom Brady. Bring us on home. What are your take going into Super Bowl 55?
You know, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm loving the letter T. I'm loving Tampa Bay, and here's why. But before I talk about Tampa Bay, I want to talk about Kansas City real quick. This season, Tyreek Hill, another T word, has had in the 2 postseason games that had 8 catches and 9 catches in the first 2 games for 110 and 172 yards. Against Tampa Bay, he had 13 catches earlier this season, had 13 catches for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. For Tampa Bay to win, they got to stop Tyreek Hill. He is all over the place and will continue to be all over the place. I think that if you look at Tampa Bay and their losses this year, Tom Brady averaged a little under 2 picks a game and a little over 2 sacks a game. So far in the playoffs, Tom Brady has averaged 1 pick a game, or really just 3 picks against Emily's Green Bay Packers, and a little bit over 1 sack a game. The story is about Tom Brady being comfortable in the pocket to run offense and keep pace with the Chiefs, complemented by a defense that's going to sack the quarterback, put pressure on Patrick Mahomes and his turf toe, and be able to turn the ball over. So with that, I'm picking Tampa Bay to win a real shootout, 35-32 Buccaneers.
All right, those are some big takes, as we have Tampa all the way across the board from everyone, and some power stats. Shout out to Luke for the Disney reference at the end. I hear you with your Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Don't use too many of those. Connor and I don't have any money to pay for that. We don't have any sponsors. By the way, this is a reminder out there to the world. My name is Rutledge. I love Starbucks coffee. Connor does not. Please give me your money to talk about your product. So coming out of our first topic, our score here is Luke and Connor are tied with 8, and Emily has 4. But I know Emily can bring the heat and bring the thunder as we go into our next topic, which is all about one quarterback's now coming legacy. I can't remember a time where you had too many championship weekends where you walk out of it. All the stories are not about the Super Bowl coming, but about the quarterback that lost. Talking about Aaron Rodgers not getting to go for it, having to watch them kick a field goal. With Aaron Rodgers losing the NFC Championship game after a momentous MVP season, and now having the same NFC Championship number of wins as Rex Grossman, where do we feel like Aaron Rodgers' career and future are going, and what does this do to his overall legacy? Emily, your take.
So I know there's been a lot of buzz over the last couple of days since his post-game interview, talking about, is Aaron Rodgers going to be back in Green Bay next season? And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't super concerned with it. Aaron likes to be broad in his talking. And I took it more of a kind of strategical move more than anything else, to kind of gain some power back after the Packers drafted Jordan Love last year, which, whatever. But I have read several things this afternoon from our CEO, Mark Murphy, as well. Aaron goes on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday. They've both come out and said, I don't see why I would not be back next year. A direct quote from Aaron on the show. Mike Murphy said Mark Murphy said there's no way in heck Rodgers isn't going to be on the Packers next year. He said that is our leader. I really hope that he can get another ring in Green Bay because he certainly deserves one. I think that would help his legacy because right now, one Super Bowl ring, you know, people, when they talk about Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, that's the stat that they come back to again and again is there's one ring versus all of Tom's many rings. So I would love to get him another one, but if he does decide to leave the Packers, I understand. I'm going to be heartbroken. But if he thinks he can't get it done with the Packers and he needs to move on, I understand, because not having that in his legacy is going to be just the one Super Bowl win. If he goes out with that, I'm still personally going to think he's great, of course, but are other people going to hold him to the high standard that they are with some of the other greats? I mean, maybe, I hope, but I can understand it.
It's definitely a ring culture as we look at rings, not just for doorbells, definitely for Super Bowl champions and comparing legacies. Luke, wearing your Bears and everything, your take on Aaron Rodgers and his future going forward.
I think it's hard to see Aaron Rodgers in another uniform aside from the Green Bay Packers. It's kind of like how all NFL fans, they would have never thought in a million years that Tom Brady would just get out of New England, join a new team in Tampa Bay, and here they are in Super Bowl 55. I'm wondering if Aaron Rodgers would follow along that same path if the organization, the Green Bay Packers organization, doesn't follow what Aaron Rodgers wants. And it kind of looks like he's slowly making his way out of Green Bay, especially with the moves that the Packers have made. And as Emily mentioned about drafting Jordan Love in the first round, which I thought that was a very questionable draft pick, where they could have drafted key rookies from this season. I can name off 4 of them right now. They could have drafted Chase Claypool, T. Higgins, Patrick Queen, Justin Jefferson. All those guys, they would have been dominant in Green Bay, especially the 3 wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers could have thrown to, could have paired alongside with Devontae Adams. But of course, there are other players like Lazard and Valdez-Scantling too. But having that one dynamic rookie, that would have made that offense on par, potentially kind of like solidified with Kansas City, just kind of like a shootout mode. And it's more like the uncertainty that there's some finality to it, just going through the motions on how it is. And we just have to find out more developing stories, like what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. I hope he stays with Green Bay, even though I'm a Bears fan. He is, he has dominated the division, but it's more about, again, winning those rings.
All right, Luke, good call on draft picks. How many of those players were Ohio State players? Just because I feel like that was just naming all the Ohio State seniors from last year.
What, the Claypool, Higgins, and them?
Yeah.
Oh, none of them were Ohio State. One was Notre Dame, Clemson, LSU, 2 LSU players, actually.
Luke came to play today. I am proud of you.
Yeah, of course.
Very cool. All right, Connor, we have some good points. Teetering both ways on the Aaron Rodgers side about where he's going. What is your take about the future of Aaron Rodgers? And maybe a good handlebar mustache.
All right. Here's what we know. We know Aaron Rodgers is now 1-4 in NFC Championship games and has yet again caused controversy in the midst of his defeat by making comments about an uncertain future. We also know that there has not been much good publicity surrounding Jordan Love. He did not set the world on fire. All reports during training camp, he was not as productive as the Packers wanted him to be. And we also know that Aaron Rodgers is still a quarterback that can get his team into the playoffs. I have a theory that although the quarterback is not the silver bullet, the quarterback is the largest bullet in the chamber and can cover a multitude of sins. Look at what Tom Brady left in New England and took a team who missed the playoffs to the Super Bowl. So I think that although Aaron Rodgers won't go public with wanting to be moved, I can see where he would want to be involved in an organization that maybe seems to have their act together a little bit more, maybe seems to want to draft better pieces and more playmakers around him. So with that, here's my prediction. My number one prediction is that Aaron Rodgers will actually end up staying in Green Bay. But my number two prediction and my first hot take of the night, just get ready for this. It's going to be hotter than the St. Elmo's cocktail sauce. That is Aaron Rodgers. I'm putting this out here there in the universe to the Indianapolis Colts. They did it with Phillip Rivers. Aaron Rodgers could play most of the season indoor and just crush it in a weak division and put up a bunch of stats with a team that has a lot of good playmakers, good running game, a good defense. So there you go. Aaron Rodgers could very well end up in Green Bay. If he's not in Green Bay, I see him in Indy.
Wow, Connor with the hot take. But Connor, in your defense, how can he walk away from the Golden Corral of Green Bay, Wisconsin, where even you have been quoted to say is a good time? So,
hey, the Golden Corral in Green Bay is a good time. And if you did not know this, Lambeau Field actually has the highest technology of heated seats, where it uses actual human heat from their bodies to heat the aluminum seats in the middle of those cold winter games. So tough. It could be tough to leave the bustling, booming metropolis of Green Bay, but I could see that happening.
I will say I give kudos to the Packers, where instead of piping in fake crowd noise or trying to push the COVID barriers, they just gave everyone signs to whack the aluminum seats with during Championship Sunday. Innovation strikes its head in the best signs of tradition. All right, well, coming out of the second topic, we have a score update. The score is closing. Emily has 12 points. Luke has 13. Connor has 15 points because of his very hot Indianapolis Colts. Aaron Rodgers just taking a little drive down south into the town of Indiana. I want to take a minute to also welcome our viewer, Steven. He says, sadly, he was sick and had to leave work early, but he made time for FriendStream Sports. So that's why Steven is a golden friend of the show, because he's here whenever he's sick. We hope you, if you're out there listening to us, wherever you're listening to us, you're not sick, but you're tuning into us here on FriendStream Sports. Okay, moving on into our third topic for the evening. So now we're moving over to the AFC. So the talk in the AFC with the Bills and the Chiefs, besides the fact of how good the Chiefs are, has been the names of the coordinators from both the Bills and the Chiefs side about potentially being head coaches. While a lot of people, including Deshaun Watson, want to see Eric Bieniemy be a head coach somewhere, which coordinator do you see getting picked up, and where do you see them going into next year? Emily, what do you have?
I am honestly shocked that Eric Bieniemy has not been picked up yet. I saw him as a really hot candidate for the Falcons opening. I know he had an interview. I think maybe when he's going into these interviews, I don't know how far they're looking into these guys' past, but Eric Bieniemy does have a past record. He was actually kicked off Colorado State's campus for a while, I think a year, for like an assault charge. But it was a really long time ago. So maybe that's a factor, maybe it's not. But if I had to pick between those two coordinators, I'm taking Eric Bieniemy. I have read recently that guys are saying he's going into interviews without a plan, kind of claiming that he's got this master plan for whichever team he's interviewing with. But from what I have read on Fox Sports, a lot of people are not impressed with his execution of his plan. Maybe that's a factor. I know three different organizations that interviewed him had that as a complaint, that maybe he has this plan, but he doesn't actually know how to execute it. And he just didn't give a lot of details about how he would run their organizations. And so maybe the uncertainty of that caused them to back away from him. But I mean, you have to look at the things that he's accomplished with Kansas City, and I'm shocked he doesn't have a head coaching position right now. And maybe we'll see. because he's still currently coaching and he's going to be coaching in the Super Bowl. Maybe we'll see somebody pick him up after. But I mean, there's only like a few openings left, so we'll see how that goes.
Emily with the deep dive and apparently on the hiring and interview panels for job openings. So solid take. Luke, who's your coordinator?
I would say that the popular pick is Eric Bieniemy. Everybody's been raving about Chiefs offensive coordinator. It's been top 10 in total yards per game at 379.2, passing yards at 281.1, yards per play at 6.22, and total points scored on average at 28.2. I'm going to do a real hot take here as I did a little digging and a little research about the Chiefs and that organization. Listen to this name carefully. Dave Toub. He's the chief assistant head coach, and he's a special teams coordinator. He's been top 10 in kick returns, kick return coverage, and punt return coverage. He developed speedy players over the years, I believe, with the Chiefs in the past 7 years, with speedy players like Niall Davis, Mecole Hardman, and Tyreek Hill. And he looks familiar from, he was originally the special teams coordinator for, the Bears, as he and the Chicago Bears set an NFL high of 22 kick returns for touchdowns compiled by 6 different players, and one more noticeably, Devin Hester. If Dave Toub goes into a head coaching scenario at any of the vacant coaching jobs out there in the NFL, he's going to make that team very, very, very quick, like a lightning bolt, not like a charger bolt, because that job's already taken.
Luke with the hot takes, Luke with the SNL impressions. Luke came out to play again. So that's some powerful stuff. Connor, close us out here. Your NFL coordinator, who you think you have getting a position. I feel like there's an elephant in the room that I hope you call out.
You're not on the panel, so I don't have to talk about Matt Kafka, Rutledge. But he is great, and I'm sure he got your fan mail that you sent him this week. I will, right now, Leslie Frazier is one of the big hot names getting floated around. Actually has his second interview lined up with the Texans. For us to remember, Leslie Frazier was the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. The early 2010s, had an NFC Championship game appearance in 2012. I think that if the Houston Texans are interested in keeping Deshaun Watson, they're going to have to go all in for Bieniemy. That's my pick as the most impactful assistant to get a new job next year. Deshaun Watson has voiced his concern multiple times. This is a hire that I think you have the quarterback in Deshaun Watson who is a difference maker. This isn't like a Jameis Winston, Dirk Cutter situation where neither player or coach really was anything to write home about. But Deshaun Watson and his impact could really have that would really take the Texans if he moved and have them start all the way from zero. So you could take Bieniemy, put him in Houston, and at least have Deshaun Watson hopefully be a little bit happier for a little while longer and get this thing run back a little bit with the Texans.
All right. Connor with the big take. Everyone likes Eric Bieniemy across the board. The coach that I truly believe in out there who should be hired as a genius later is quarterbacks coach Matt Kafka. Because think about how elite the one and only Patrick Mahomes is, and it takes good coaches to have good leadership. Imagine what Matt Kafka could do with an entire franchise. And this is like one of his first couple coaching positions. So it's genius in a bottle. I know I'm not on the panel. I don't get any points. As we come into our next topic, score updates, we have Emily leading now with 25. Luke has 24. Connor has 22. Solid Houston take. Connor and I also believe we may or may not have gotten Bill O'Brien fired because right after we talked about it on our show, Bill O'Brien lost a job within 48 hours. FriendStream Sports is here with real-time real sports. Moving on, next topic. So we're going to shift gears into something coming, which is supposed to be this weekend. And it's an event very close to home. So we've had the Pro Bowl here in Orlando, Florida a couple times. Weather's been horrible, actually, with being cold and rainy. This year's Pro Bowl was supposed to be at the Death Star in Las Vegas, Nevada, home of Connor's very own Las Vegas Raiders. And while rosters were announced, including a lot of great starting players, including bunches from the Browns and the AFC team, the game was canceled due to COVID. The NFL is having a virtual extravaganza and doing a Madden broadcast and trying to do a lot to boost the Pro Bowl. But overall, the event just doesn't catch fire in the way of, say, the All-Star game for baseball or even other sporting huge events like All-Star Weekend for the NBA. So if you were Roger Goodell or you had the head of the NFL or you were the head of the NFL, what would you do to change the Pro Bowl in any way to make it a better game, better fan experience, and make it more meaningful for the whole NFL league?
So last year they started doing this thing called the Skills Showdown. And that was by far probably the best move they've made as far as trying to improve the Pro Bowl in years. So you kind of ask yourself, what does like the NBA All-Star or, for baseball, what do these things do that maybe the Pro Bowl doesn't do? And I know with like NBA All-Star Weekend, they have like a dunk contest and all these other things that are super fun that fans can watch. There's judges, whole 9 yards. And so I think maybe bringing in this Skills Showdown is a really good start. I don't know if anybody got a chance to see the one last year, and they're not having one this year, obviously, but last year was the first year that they're doing it. And let's see, they have things like the precision passing. So each conference, their quarterback selects one person that isn't the quarterback, and they all try to pass, hit certain targets. They have the gridiron gauntlet. You go through this whole like obstacle course almost. Best hands, thread the needle. Epic Pro Bowl dodgeball is how they close it out. And it is so much fun. I loved watching it. I think if they can like find a way to incorporate, the team who wins that maybe gets like some sort of advantage in the Pro Bowl. I know they also tried some new rules for the Pro Bowl last year. Some things that they actually kind of implemented into the XFL later on. Some of the 2-point, 3-point conversions, some of the kicks were different. But I actually think that is the best thing that you can do for the Pro Bowl right now, because right now it doesn't count for anything. There's no way to make it really count for anything because it's an AFC versus NFC thing. You can't really reward any one team. But maybe moving it to a weekend after the Super Bowl. I know we've talked about this forever, and I don't know why that's not a thing yet. But as of right now, having that Skills Showdown is probably the best thing they can do. It's super fun. If they find a way to really incorporate that through the whole weekend, I think that'll get a lot more attention than the actual just Pro Bowl game.
All right, Luke.
All right. So the way to make the Pro Bowl game better for not only the players but also for the fans is kind of having a little pizzazz to it, as when players go for touchdowns, fans and referees, kind of similar to like the slam dunk contest, they would rate the best touchdown celebrations, like rank them 9, 9, 9, 9 or 10, 10, 10, 10 in that way. And from the accumulation of all those points, whoever gets the most points between each conference gets a touchdown lead ahead and racks it up onto the points. That way it would be competitive for the other team to try to come back to get more touchdown celebrations along with the touchdown too. And I had thought about this back in the day as a kid playing on his GameCube. Have some points within like little NFL street style moves and gathering those points up too. Have a little pizzazz in that style going into it too. So I believe that those two incrementals will be better for the game, just fun for the players and for the fans, just having a great time. And in regards to the fan experience, especially for viewers like ourselves that are watching at home, if you guys haven't seen from the wild card playoffs, the Nickelodeon TV experience from the Saints Bears game, where Michael Thomas went to the end zone to a touchdown, you see slime all over the place. If there was something like that for the Pro Bowl that can engage in more fans, that would be fantastic and get more viewers to watch the Pro Bowl too. And in regards to where the Pro Bowl location would be, as it was in Orlando for the past 3 years at ESPN Wide World Sports, it was a great location, but also have it located within each of the cities, whether it be Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando, or Miami in that region, then rotate it within the central part, southern central part of America, within like the Texas region, whether it be Dallas or Houston. And then out in the West Coast, you have Los Angeles, and you have, who knows, maybe Oakland, San Diego, and or Arizona or Las Vegas. So you have that rotation just all across America. That would be great for fans to travel within and have a little variety in it.
All right, Luke taking the Pro Bowl on the road and bringing back some more 1990s Nickelodeon aspects to the game. I can always take some throwbacks. Connor, you're someone who we've talked much in the past about having sporting events in Orlando. What is your take on the Pro Bowl?
Oh, Rutledge, there are 3 elements that I think are going to be critical for the success of the Pro Bowl. First and foremost, Luke, I appreciate your thought of incorporating the Nickelodeon channel into the Pro Bowl. Let's take that one step further. Let's take the ESPN multi-camera approach, multi-stream approach, have the Nickelodeon type channel, right? But then have a channel of just a few gamblers that are watching and talking about the game, okay? So you have that. You got the multi-channel approach. Number 2, have the bottom line throughout the game be written by comedians. Maybe have Will Ferrell come in and be one of the announcers in the game. Have you watched the show Holy Moly? Would you imagine if Rob Riggle and Will Ferrell were the announcers of the Pro Bowl? How amazing that would be. That'd be fantastic. And number 3, I would say you make certain spectacular things worth more points and make players do harder things. One-handed touchdown catch, not 6 points, 8 points. Any kick not only has to be in the middle of the crossbars, but over the crossbars. So I think that there are a multitude of things you can do, but those would be just the top 3.
I like the incentivizing points for Pro Bowl. That definitely, there has been a lack of effort. I had a friend of mine who went, saw that the effort in the Pro Bowl was lackluster. He turned around and didn't watch the rest of the game, but didn't leave the stadium and spent lots of money. We'll let you figure out what he spent money on. Going into our next topic, score updates. Luke has 30, Emily has 28. Connor has pulled into the lead with 32 as we go and continue on in this very high scoring affair here. And we have hit halftime. It's time for the world famous live on Twitch, 8 o'clock Tuesday, French Stream Sports halftime hot take. Luke, Emily, I hope you're excited. This is your first halftime hot take. Mm-hmm. This is where Connor and I's favorite part of the show, where we give our largest, biggest, excuse me, I'm choking up about it. Largest, biggest, hottest take over everything. So the first one we stick out, and I will even participate. The Super Bowl is coming, and everyone loves it for the game, the food, but love watching the commercials and the halftime show. But the commercials this year will be different. Multiple different companies are not doing Super Bowl commercials, and actually Anheuser-Busch will not have a Budweiser commercial this year, as they are using their money they would have spent to raise COVID vaccine awareness. Other companies will do parts of their brand. For example, PepsiCo will feature like Frito-Lay commercials, Mountain Dew commercials, but not feature a Pepsi commercial. Coca-Cola is actually not participating at all due to the financial hardships of COVID-19. So thinking into the prime ages before the world we were in, what is your favorite Super Bowl commercial of all time? What sticks out? Emily, what is your all-time favorite Super Bowl commercial?
I definitely have a few, but being the only girl on the podcast so far, a few years ago, Always Feminine Products did a commercial about like everything like a girl. I don't know if anybody remembers that commercial, but boy, it was so big to me to see that as a Super Bowl commercial that's mainly geared towards guys. And I don't even remember what year that commercial was on, but Yeah, that was a big commercial for me that stuck out and has stood out since then. I mean, there's been several funny or that have made you cry, but that one just kind of touched me as somebody who loves this sport, but doesn't get a whole lot of, I guess, attention towards it. That was kind of fun for me. I liked that one.
Awesome. I'll have to look that one up. Luke, your favorite Super Bowl commercial?
I would have to say the one that sticks out to me the most, being kind of like a Super Bowl commercial fanatic in a way, was from Super Bowl 53. It was this commercial for the NFL. It was the 100-year game, and it was the fumble banquet. I found it quite amazing to see all these legendary players and current players just at a banquet. Roger Goodell's there celebrating, and then it's just chaos ensues on everybody trying to get a hold of the football. I would like to say that my favorite one of all time, it's kind of like a two-parter, is the Michael Jordan, Larry Bird shooting for a Big Mac commercial for McDonald's. And that was from Super Bowl 27. And then LeBron James and Dwight Howard made a rendition of that, but for dunking for a Big Mac, as Larry Bird stole their Big Mac meal. And that was from Super Bowl 44. So those are my two-part favorite commercials of all time.
I'm sure we all remember playing recess basketball where we spent more time talking about what we were going to shoot stuff off of than actually playing basketball after that commercial hit. Connor, your hot take. What is your all-time Super Bowl commercial?
I will never forget Budweiser. Those Budweiser frogs all day. Not only that, but the weather Budweiser commercial. They always come in clutch. Not necessarily the Clydesdale commercials, but the Budweiser frogs. That's got to be number one. Always the most memorable commercial for me.
Beautiful. I'm going to go with mine. It's a simple and jovial one. I loved it from the minute I saw it. It was when Volkswagen did a commercial where they had a little boy running around and he was dressed as Darth Vader and he was trying to use the force on stuff with his hands, and he raised his hands out to the car, and then the dad starts the car from inside the house and the little boy just looks at his hands as if he's a superpower person. Just brought so much joy as it goes all the way through. So love that commercial. That was a good one. Want to say hey to, we have some other viewers on. Slaney has joined us, and it looks like the one and only Anna Marie is out there watching her first stream. So hi to Slaney and hi to Anna Marie. Thanks for coming out to support Friend Stream Sports live Tuesday, 8 o'clock, as we are taking our friend hangout, talk around of NFL football, debating down topics with our Bull Pick'em winner, Luke, our friend of the show, Emily, Connor, of course, and me as your host. Here's a score update as we go into it. Everyone gets points for their points they make. Connor is leading with 32 points. Luke has 30 points, and Emily has made a huge rebound, closing the gap with 28. So as we get ready to head into our second half and our next talk, we're going to talk about new coaches. So we've talked about coaches that haven't been hired. Now we have other coaches that are on the move, making multiple teams. So who is your coach that has a new coaching job that you feel like is the best bet to lead that new job into the future?
So I'm going to start out with Dan Campbell, the Detroit Lions hire. And I am not sure. This is either going to be a big win for them or a big bust for them. I don't know if anybody got a chance to watch his press conference upon hiring, but he is different. He has got a really crazy way of going about things. He's really bold. His nameplate on his office at the stadium says head coach / the dude. He's super cool. He's super fun. Like I said, it's either going to be a huge win for them or a big bust. He's going into Detroit with this we're down in the dumps. This is Detroit, but you can't keep us down. We're going to rise again and take a chunk out of your kneecap, and you're going to kick us down again, and we're going to take another chunk out of your other kneecap. He has got this mentality that they're rising from the ashes. So I think if everybody in Detroit kind of gets behind that and rolls with it, it could be a really big win for Detroit, which I know Luke and I are not super excited about because that is in our division. But yeah, I'm rolling with Dan Campbell. It's either going to be a big bust or a big win for Detroit because that guy he's a little crazy, and I'm here for it.
They definitely need crazy up in Detroit. Luke, your coaching take.
All right. Well, first, let me switch hats real quick. Going to show off a little bias here for my pick. I'm sure you guys will already know right off the bat, but looking through the research, making an unbiased perspective on who will be the best coach to lead the franchise in the future. And for this coach, it's not going to be it's not going to be like it's going to happen overnight, but it's going to take about multiple years, like 3 to 4 years to get a groove going and get to the playoffs and hopefully get to the Super Bowl. And that person is Urban Meyer. He even said himself, it had to be the perfect fit. If he did not have the number 1 pick in the draft, if he did not have $100 million in salary cap room to sign free agent players and to sign draft players, and along with the homecoming in Florida and the first coach hired out of all the coaching vacancies in the NFL, he wouldn't have taken the job. I listened to a video interview of the head Jacksonville Jaguars radio person. I forgot what his name was, but he interviewed Kirk Herbstreit, whom we all know him from College Game Day, and he was a former college quarterback from Ohio State. He actually met Urban Meyer when Urban Meyer was a graduate assistant there. He knows a lot personally about him. And he even said that he knows he can win there and he doesn't need the money. And that the unique situation, it's, again, as I mentioned, it's a unique situation that he couldn't pass on. And it's interesting how he pointed out that there's NFL coaches filtering from the NFL to college and vice versa, depending on how successful they can be. And the interesting challenge with him is that he needs to find an offense, a guy that revolves around with the number 1 pick. A lot of sources are saying it's Trevor Lawrence, that would fit into that college quarterback style in an NFL offense in today's game. Similar to like Patrick Mahomes style, where he can rack up points just like that. And he is also relentless to win, as he cannot recruit high school players, but he could potentially, whatever it is, how he could recruit players in free agency, it might be different. He has to make some adjustments here or there, but he would be relentless to win with equal to less talented NFL players. And a recent coaching hire that he made himself, one of the first hires, is a former Ohio State linebacker from 2003 to 2005, was Anthony Schlegel. And he's the new strength and conditioning coach there. And previously he was on a radio station in Columbus, Ohio, just talking about football. But he was also the assistant strength and conditioning coach at Ohio State when I was there. And a little fun story about him, there was some Ohio State hooligan who ran on the field. All of a sudden, Anthony Schlegel comes up to him and just body slams him. So having that relentless mentality and that motivation, even just body slam a hooligan and have security and take him out of the stadium, props to Urban Meyer for what he's doing. But that is what I believe, that Urban Meyer will succeed in his time in the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Thank you, Luke. I never knew there was someone who could love a coach more than I love Matt Kapka, but it is showed that your love for Anthony Schlegel has no bounds. And I hurt for when they tackled that guy, because I might have been that guy running on the field, but I've never been to Columbus, Ohio.
Hey, I saw that game live too. I saw it happen.
I bet it was awesome. All right, Connor.
It was great.
So we have curb stomping and kicking people in the knee. We have tackling people in Columbus, Ohio. We're just making all types of moves here with head coaches. Who do you have?
We're gonna go from the one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum here. I love what the Jets did in hiring Robert Saleh. to be their head coach. Former defensive coordinator for the 49ers. This season, the 49ers got hit with a rash of injuries, which, you can, even outside of a COVID year, it's always, if you're the team that gets injured, there's not much you can do about that. He has a ton of work to do. Luke, you might enjoy following the Jets more so, especially if they end up drafting Justin Fields and maybe sending Sam Darnold on his way. But I think that Robert Saleh has come from a place with good infrastructure and can bring that same mentality of, here's what a head coach does, here's what a GM does, here's what an owner does. He does come from the defensive side of the ball, but you know what? John Lynch, GM for the 49ers, is a defensive guy. Even though Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, was an offensive guy, you don't have to be one side of the ball or another side of the ball necessarily to be successful. So I've got a lot of confidence in Robert Saleh just because of where he's coming from in San Francisco.
All right, Connor with the difficult one to be successful pick, taking over a Jets team that is rough. We'll move on to our next topic. From the comments, Anna Marie says she's here watching the show, not because of me, but because Emily is her hero for being out here on our sports show. So wanted to share that. Huge into that. Next, we're going to talk quarterbacks. So we've already mentioned some quarterbacks. I don't want to talk about drafts. Don't want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Want to talk about some other ones. Deshaun Watson has expressed he wants out of Houston. Who knows? He maybe tried to leave with James Harden. Matt Stafford is going to be departing Detroit. Who do we see making a move? Where do we see them? Who do we see someone landing a new QB and then being able to have a force to be reckoned with? So who's your QB? Where are they going? And where are they going to be producing greatness?
So this season, it feels like more than ever, we have so many quarterbacks who are looking to either maybe retire or change teams. Just a lot of uncertainty. I think there's at least 10 that I can name off the top of my head between Deshaun Watson, Matt Stafford, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo, Cam Newton, Mitch Trubisky. There's just a ton of guys that we don't know where they're going to play football or if they're going to play football next year. The Washington football team with my personal hero, Alex Smith. But as far as like Deshaun Watson goes, I don't think it's going to matter who they hire as their head coach. I think he wants out no matter what. And I've seen where he has, or maybe somebody else has expressed interest in him going to the Jets. I don't see that as the move for him, but I've read a bunch about it on the internet, so we'll see. I think maybe Miami, it would be a good fit for him. I don't know if anybody's kind of kept up with the Tua Tagovailoa nonsense going on down in Miami, but the Dolphins don't love him. The locker room does not love him. They say that he just doesn't work the way they thought he would work in practice. As we've seen with like Doug Peterson, once you lose the locker room, you kind of lose your job. So with him being in question in Miami, maybe Deshaun goes down there. But I like I said, I don't think it's going to matter who they hire as their next head coach. I think he is done. He wants out. And those are just two things that I've read about where he may end up. Like I said, I think the Jets is a little far-fetched, but Miami, I feel like would be a pretty good fit for him. As far as Matt Stafford goes, I've seen the Colts pop up a lot. I think that'd be kind of interesting, although Connor, that kind of debunks your hot take of my boy going there. But I've seen that. My brother seems to think maybe he ends up in Denver. Does he follow Matt Patricia to New England? Matt Patricia just got rehired on New England staff as not the offensive coordinator, but some sort of offensive guy there. And maybe he follows him. I don't think they had a really good relationship, but maybe he follows him back and goes to New England. Who knows? He's a really good quarterback. I've already seen where several teams have reached out to see what it would take to get him in a trade. He'll end up somewhere good, I hope.
All right. Hot take there with having a new quarterback down in Miami and that Tua is not as loved as we all think he is. Luke, what does your quarterback movement look like?
I'm going to switch hats one more time again. All right, here we go. I think for Deshaun Watson, a lucrative opportunity for him where he could flourish in a certain team that can redeem themselves from skipping past him from the 2017 NFL draft would be known as the Bears. Yes, I said this. Chicago Bears. They could be in the hunt, and they actually have been pursuing and trying to strike a deal anytime before the new season starts in March. And when I was doing my research here and there, they could possibly trade Mitch Trubisky and a 2021 third round pick to the Texans, or trade a draft pick beyond 2021, as the Bears have not traded any of their draft picks beyond 2021. So that gives them the opportunity for them to pursue Deshaun Watson. And again, as I mentioned, it would be the Bears redeeming themselves from passing up on Deshaun Watson in the 2017 NFL draft. And it will also attract another free agent currently on the Bears that could re-sign the Bears with Allen Robinson, who's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. So if Deshaun Watson comes to the Bears, he would get Allen Robinson, but also other weapons, including Jimmy Graham, Cole Kmet, Anthony Miller, Darnell Mooney, and Taylor Gabriel, coming from opting out this past season. And this upcoming season for the Bears, it will most likely be the last potential season for the Bears to have that dominant defense, since next season Khalil Mack will be. And according to the Chicago Bears, they have recently promoted from within their new defensive coordinator in Sean Desai, who has been mentored by Vic Fangio, who was the defense coordinator there in 2018. And that 2018 Chicago Bears defense, they were one of the most dominant defenses in the NFL. So if you have a top 5 defense in the NFL, load in on Deshaun Watson to get his weapons with all those wide receivers and tight ends, and along with the running backs and David Montgomery and Terry Cohen. Watch out for the Bears. They could be on the playoff hunt and potentially possibly the Super Bowl too if they go all in next year. So that is my hot take for Deshaun Watson getting traded to the Bears.
Luke with the SNL impression again, but also with the hot take. I think his second hot take of the night, in that he has the Bears in the Super Bowl in 2022. Connor, I didn't think anyone was going to take out your Colts hot take, but that's the hottest take I've heard tonight. So, Connor, what do you have? Who's going where, and what are they going to do? Connor, we're pulling a 2020 here, and you're muted, buddy, so we can't hear you.
Hello. Beautiful. Deshaun Watson. Here's a hot take. He's going to be to the team that currently employs Tua Tagovailoa. Here's what I see happening. I see Deshaun Watson getting traded for Tua, roughly straight up. There might be a draft pick involved, maybe a couple other players to make the salaries work, but to really get both franchises started over. I know I said the Texans need to get Bieniemy if they're interested in keeping Watson, but as we've seen when multiple stars request trade, sometimes you just burn one too many bridges. I think Deshaun Watson is going to go to a weaker division and really light it up in Miami. And I think the other quarterback to watch is Matt Stafford. Some of the pieces I've been reading is having Matt Stafford head to the Saints a little bit closer to home. Is an offense kind of set up for a pocket quarterback, as being a pocket quarterback is more of a niche type situation these days, as opposed to being more mobile. Sean Payton has had Drew Brees for all these years, so is used to a less mobile but talented arm. So that's what I'm predicting. Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins, Matt Stafford to the Saints.
A lot of movement going around. Huge pick out there on the Saints move for Matt Stafford. Out there in the comments, Luke, Anna Marie says she wants to see a third hat, as you are the rotating hats for the evening. So moving on, we've talked the future, we've talked coaches, we've talked quarterbacks. Now it's time to get into the draft. And this year's NFL draft seems like it's going to be framing up a lot of teams as everyone sort of got exposed at who's good and who's not based off who has the structure. So coming into this year, all reports and all sayings are saying that we're going to see that Trevor Lawrence will be going and hanging out with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville to be in Jacksonville Jaguar. The next teams down in the draft board are the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Falcons. So out of those three teams, what position do you think that one of those three teams should draft? And if you have it, who do you have them taking with their first round pick?
So I've waited all night to give you some hot takes, but I now have two. My first one being that because Urban Meyer is going to be the new coach for the Jags, he's going to shake things up and take the boy from Ohio State, Justin Fields, first in the draft. I think that he leans on his Ohio State roots. He knows the system there. Justin now knows the system there. Their communication would be excellent if he went to be the next quarterback for the Jags. So that's my first hot take, is that Trevor Lawrence may not be the first quarterback taken in the draft this year. It may be Justin Fields. And my next hot take, and I've been saying this for years, so I know this is going to come to no surprise to you, Rutledge, but I think that the Falcons draft a quarterback. They are number 4 on the board. Miami, if everything goes kind of the way that Connor and I project and they end up with Deshaun Watson, they're not going to need a quarterback. And that leaves the third best quarterback on the board, Zach Wilson, to go to the Falcons. Matt Ryan is not going to get it done in Atlanta. He's got concrete blocks for feet. And I think a lot of people have kind of caught on to the fact that he had that really good season when he won the MVP. They went to the Super Bowl, whatever. He has not shown up the way that I think Falcon fans would like ever since that season. And I think Atlanta, they have a new GM, they have a new head coach who I think is a really good fit, Arthur Smith. I think that's a fantastic fit for Atlanta. And I think he decides that it's time to move on. Now, Matt Ryan's in the middle of a really expensive contract right now, so I'm not saying that they draft someone and they immediately start him, but I think that they realize that it's time to draft the next guy. And I think that's Zach Wilson from BYU. I love him. He's phenomenal. And I just don't think Matt Ryan's the guy that's ever going to get it done in Atlanta. So those are my two hot takes on the draft.
Those are some hot draft takes. We're shaking up even Mel Kiper's big board with Emily's takes going in this evening. So those are some big picks coming through. Luke, follow that.
I was quite amazed that you were saying that Justin Fields will go number 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars since Fields and Urban Meyer work together. And keep in mind, I'm not switching my hats this time. This is my unbiased take on what's going to happen for the draft. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are going to go with Trevor Lawrence since he's a once-in-a-century lifetime quarterback that Urban Meyer can mold him to be that offensive gunslinger in today's National Football League. I wanted to talk about, though, on where Justin Fields will land. He won't land with the Jets, since I think that Sam Darnold would stay there. I don't think he will go to the Dolphins, which I believe that Tua Tagovailoa will get one more crack at it with the Dolphins this season. I think that Justin Fields is going to go number 4 with the Atlanta Falcons. He's back home in Georgia, back in his home state, what was from there, from high school, played at Georgia before he transferred to Ohio State, and potentially replacing a quarterback in Matt Ryan, who's 35 years old. He's a pro-style quarterback. Like you mentioned, concrete feet. I can imagine him just standing there in the pocket and not having the agility like today's league is. And he just throws deep balls, and that's not what today's game is about. We have the new GM, general manager, in Terry Fontenot, new head coach in Arthur Smith, who is the former Titans offense coordinator, which their head coach was Mike Vrabel from Ohio State. and still having that connection between Justin Fields. And also, Justin Fields would have weapons such as Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst, and even Laquan Treadwell. When I looked at name up in the roster, he had a dominating performance with the Minnesota Vikings for 2 seasons, and he kind of fell flat-footed in a way. This could be a resurrection for Laquan Treadwell to get things going for him and the Atlanta Falcons. So my take is Atlanta Falcons will draft Justin Fields, as Justin Fields will have a homecoming at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in downtown Atlanta.
Big takes. And kudos to Luke on the roster looking. And that is true. Atlanta does have tons of weapons that apparently concrete Matty Ice, not made of ice, but concrete Matt Ryan is not able to utilize. Connor, what did your draft look like? We've got a lot of QB talk. What do you have?
You know, here's what I think is going to happen, right? I think in terms of New York Jets, I think they got their new head coach, and I think that Sam Darnold cannot play the young guy card forever. I think that the Jets are going to pick the next quarterback off the board, and I think that is going to be Justin Fields to give Sam Darnold that pressure and really make it interesting in New York. I think for the Dolphins, I think that Devontae Smith is going to pick up where he left off from the national championship game, in which he made the Ohio State Buckeyes look like a JV team throughout the course of that game. And he's going to be one more weapon down in Miami for Tua or whichever quarterback that might be, although that could be pretty fun for Tua and Devontae Smith to get back together. Leaving the Falcons, maybe Falcons go Trey Lance. I think that if they don't love, here's what I think they should do. If they don't love their quarterback there, I think that you could go defensive playmaker. Whichever one is going to be at the top of the top of your draft board. You don't know what's going to happen with Drew Brees in the NFC South. You don't know, there's so many question marks at the quarterback position. If Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl, is he going to sail off into the sunset? We don't know that. So I think that, the Falcons could be, with Matt Ryan, at least the most stable quarterback position, which could be at a premium next year if some of these teams have a variety of turnover at that position.
All right. Big there for Connor. Huge points. As we're coming in, we're actually hitting up our last topic for the evening. So here's a score update as we got going in. We have in the lead is Emily, who currently has 63 points. She made a big comeback throughout the evening, especially with some draft hot takes. Luke is in second place with he's in third place with 55 points, and Connor is in second place with 56 points. So it's all onto our very last topic here as we see who takes the first ever Friends Stream Sports live Tuesday, 8 o'clock hangout. So our last one is all talking about next season. So this past season, we saw Cleveland make a huge turn the corner and become what a lot of people are excited to see the team for next year and make people believe in Cleveland. We also saw that while the the NFC East was a mess, the Washington football team started to emerge. So some teams have started to make waves and some teams have shown they have fallen off. Which team do you have next year making big waves in the regular season and becoming that team to beat going into 2022?
So this one was a little difficult because we have no idea where some of these big name quarterbacks are going to be playing next year. But looking at it, it's hard to kind of pick against the Chiefs because I don't think that they plan to lose a lot of what they have right now. Now, if they lose their coordinator in Eric Bieniemy, then, obviously that would be a big hole to fill. But coming into next year, you're going to have to go through Kansas City and Pat Mahomes in the AFC. They're red hot right now, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
All right, Emily taking the Chiefs. Luke, who do you have next year making some waves?
I think the next year's team, they're not going to make waves, but I think they're going to charge on. If you catch my drift on charging on, I think the Los Angeles Chargers are going to charge on and make a big charge this season. There's just so many charges. Using the word charge, it's going to be one heck of a Charger-filled season for the upcoming season. This past year, they went 7-9 in 2020, third in the AFC West. And the reason why they went 7-9 is that they had tough but yet close losses where the points on the margin of what they lost was by like a touchdown or so, or even by 3 points. And a lot of their key players were on the injury reserve list, so they didn't have their full talent. We got the hot shot rookie, probably most likely the NFL Rookie of the Year in Justin Herbert, who threw for 4,336 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. I wish my guy Joe Burrow could do that, but he had that torn ACL and MCL against the Washington football team. But it was Justin Herbert's season, and I think he's going to bounce back and even perform much more than what he did in his rookie season, as he's got his weapons such as Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson, the running backs, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, and even Ohio State guy KJ Hill catches those one-handed catches. You better watch out for him, as he's a top sleeper for the Chargers. And you got that dominating defense led by Joey Bosa, and in the defensive backs and Chris Harris Jr., who's a veteran from the Denver Broncos too, making some noise. And they also got a new head coach in from the former Rams defensive coordinator, switching allegiances from the Rams to the Chargers, in Brandon Staley. And he's gonna make that defense he's gonna make offenses terrorized by that Chargers D, as he was the former linebackers coach for the Bears back in 2018 during that dominating run, as he led Khalil Mack to pure dominance with the Bears. And I think they're going to pull off with 11 wins, possibly go 11-5, and they could be a potential threat for the Chiefs. Maybe I would say during the regular season, go 1-1 in their divisional matchup. Maybe you could see it in the playoffs. Could be a close one in the playoffs if they meet. So that is my hot take, more like a Charger take, as we ramp up that voltage.
Luke is definitely charged up about Justin Herbert. Bonus points for you. I don't know if you know, but Justin Herbert is Connor and mine's secret best friend. He doesn't know he's our best friend, but he's our best friend who's our best friend. Last week, we challenged out to Justin Herbert out there through the internet that we should play Madden together. We'd even buy the new Madden so he could play as himself, and we'd even let him win because we're that good of friends with him. Right, Connor?
Justin Herbert is our best friend. That's just how it is, for sure. But I think that if we were to look at a turnaround team, when I was researching this question, I wanted to take all the last place teams and kind of look at it from that perspective and say which team who finished last place in their division last year has the best chance of turning that around. And I'm picking the San Francisco 49ers. They did just lose their defensive coordinator, yes, and I do think coaching is very important. But I think the bigger story for the Niners as to why they struggled so much last year had more to do with their injuries, which is it's just hard to overcome. Your best plays work when your best players are there. I think a healthier season for the 49ers with some brain drain for the Rams. The Rams also lost their defensive coordinator, and questions surrounding Jared Goff. He's starting to regress a little bit further back to the mean. I think the rest of the league's probably catching up to Arizona some. Kyler Murray did run around a lot last year, but as we see, quarterbacks who are running the ball all over the place, they're going to have to eventually sit back in the pocket and deliver strikes at some point. Can Kyler do that with consistency throughout the course of a season remains to be seen. And I think the other piece that remains to be seen is if Seattle will finally let Russ cook. So I think between the rest of the division coming back to the Niners and the Niners being healthier and having a good infrastructure there with Kyle Shanahan still there and having John Lynch is their defensive coordinator. And, I mean, Jimmy G gets talked about like he's just totally garbage. I mean, he did play in a Super Bowl, So I think that they're good enough at the quarterback position to really make a good turnaround, or they could even upgrade. So 49ers, look for them to not just have a turnaround team, but to make the playoffs next year.
Wow, those are all solid takes. As we get ready to close, want to kind of go through a score review before we move into picks. So huge takes. Thank you to all of you for great work this evening. Thank you to Luke and Emily for being here. We got this is some good podcast content for us, Connor. Tonight with the scores we have in third place, Emily has 65 points coming back and closing. We have Connor finished second place with 66 points, and Luke actually won tonight with 67 points. You got me with the hat changes and the SNL references. So plus also talking about our secret friend who's our best friend in Justin Herbert. So that's been our show. And now we're going to move into our closing segment, which is picks. Since everyone's given their pick on the Super Bowl, we're actually going to close with some other topics of conversations for the Super Bowl. Excuse me. So first of all is round the room, who is your MVP of this year's Super Bowl?
It's Tom Brady. It's just Tom Brady. Because he took that team who missed the playoffs, was one of the worst in the league, and took them to the Super Bowl. Like I said, he's doing charity work out here. So
Luke?
I think it's got to be the big goat, not the baby goat. The big goat referencing in Tom Brady, who has more rings than Patrick Mahomes. And he's pulling out in all stops and making the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look like the Golden State Warriors of the National Football League. That's quite something. And it's a story, more like history, being written as we speak. So that is my Super Bowl MVP.
Connor, who's your MVP?
It's Tommy Terrific, Bradford, Ulysses Eugene Brady III, Esquire. Tom Brady will be Super Bowl MVP. That's how it has to be.
Not my dog's name. Not using my dog's name.
that's what I was thinking. What in the world?
Oh, man. Well, just because of that, because we use the name of Ulysses in vain, I'm actually going to go bold here. I'm going to say that the Super Bowl MVP is going to be someone different. And I am going to go Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill last week against the Buffalo Bills made the Buffalo Bills, who were a huge turnaround for the AFC, look like an amateur football team of the Buffalo Bills of old. He can run, he can jump, he can catch. I'm surprised he's not wearing PK flyers while he's out there on the field. Patrick Mahomes is going to be limited in his run game because he's wearing 2 different size shoes because of his turf toe. He's going to be throwing some bomb passes. And sure, Travis Kelce's going to catch those shovels. Tyreek Hill is going to be the difference maker that will take everyone believing in the fact that Tom Brady should walk away with the MVP and go to Disney World, and it will be Tyreek Hill driving up I-4 and going to the Magic Kingdom. So that's who I have for MVP. Next, everyone give your takes on your score. Emily, what is your score for the Super Bowl?
So, I mean, I think both teams have a stellar offense. It's going to take a really big effort on both. Now, they're both really good defenses, but it's going to take some effort. I think it's going to be around the 34-28 range. I'm taking Tampa, obviously, 34-28.
Luke?
I think it's going to be a shootout. Obviously, on both high-scoring offenses, but keep an eye on those defenses too. You may see a pick six or two or a fumble recovery, since both defenses are dominant. But I'm going to say that it'll be 48-38 Buccaneers.
Connor, what do you have for your score?
This game has 35-31 Tampa Bay written all over it. Tommy Terrific with some good time in the pocket to just throw strikes down the field.
I'm going to go low-scoring affair from expected high-scoring offenses. Going to say 28-21. Kansas City, Tyreek Hill with the last-minute catch that will seal the MVP. Both teams have shown that their defensive lines are extremely disruptive. with how uncomfortable Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers were this past Sunday. It'll be a low-scoring affair, which will come down to the one big play, but I think Patrick Mahomes will solidify his new claim in the legacy in front of Tampa Bay. Last is we have MVP, we have score. We're going to end on a fun note here on French Stream Sports. We're going to conclude with who do we feel like is going to have the best commercial coming into this year. So gut instinct, based off everything you've got going on, who's going to have the best commercial for you to watch?
I'm always a big fan of Mountain Dew and their commercials, and they're actually going to do one, even though Pepsi and Coke both are not, but they're going to do one, and I'm pretty excited to see what they come up with.
Luke?
I'm going to make it simple and doing some research on who is going to do the Super Bowl commercials. But I noticed that Bud Light is doing a Super Bowl commercial. And all I'll say is Dilly Dilly.
Classic. Connor, who's your Super Bowl commercial?
The group that always keeps it light, always keeps it fun. In a year where we've been quarantined and eating a lot of these, I think Doritos is going to bring the heat and have a great commercial.
I like that. Some Doritos. They have good commercials for the Super Bowl. I think they did the Time Machine one once, which was funny. I'm going to go with Michelob Ultra for the Super Bowl commercial. Michelob Ultra caught my attention with a couple years ago. They did a commercial. I was actually watching this with Connor. We were at a Super Bowl party together, and it was all these people working out and sweaty and throwing kettlebells and working out in all black clothes. And we all sat there like, oh, it's an Under Armour. It's a Nike commercial. It's got to be Adidas. No, it was Michelob Ultra, because they boast this brand that they are a beer, but they're more about you being fit and drinking their low carb, low calorie beer than anything else. So I think they'll pull some type of, you've sat at home, it's time to exercise, but not give up your beer for Super Bowl 55. All right, everyone, that's our show for this evening. For those listening to us out there, thank you for coming out live to watch us here on Twitch. We're here every single Tuesday at 8 p.m. Big shout out to Luke and Emily for coming out and hanging out and give us some very hot takes. I hope they all come true, because it'll be a wild NFL year if they do. If you haven't, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on our podcast, where you can find us wherever podcasts are free. Connor, what do you want to say before we go for the evening?
Justin Herbert, if you're out there, let's eat Doritos together. Let's do it. That's all. That's it. I might just hit the leave button now. Should I do that?
Yeah, that's all. Justin Herbert, be our friend this year. We're real friends. Well, as that goes, I'm Rutledge.
I'm Connor.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Luke.
And we've been Friends Stream Sports. Thank you for coming out, and have a great night.